Hello guys, so I am making some Palestinian dough right now and bread with some Palestinian oil, and I'm just like kneading it right now. So as you can see, it is snowing, so I cannot go fishing right now. So I will be doing a video that I am going to tell fishing tips, where and when to catch fish and what to use catching them, and different types of fish. And so yeah, I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so we're here, and so I'm going to be doing 5 types of fish: panfish, bass, trout, pickerel and pike, and catfish. So let's start off with panfish. Now, panfish are relatively small. They range from only about 1 or 2 inches to maybe 10, maybe even you can get lucky and have a 12-incher. This includes yellow perch, sunfish, crappie, and shiners, stuff like that. These fish are small. They like to feed on small things like small grubs, worms, and flies and bugs. So what I would recommend is for crappie, I'd like to use little grub imitations like this, and worms. Pretty much worms work really good for all of these things. But crappie are a little bit they work well with a little bit like smaller jigs and smaller worms like that stuff. And basically, you can almost guarantee yourself that you're gonna catch a panfish with bobber and worms, the classic. But that's what I would recommend for panfish. Moving on to bass. All right, so for bass, these are big fish. They can get up to 15 and 20 pounds. Largemouth bass, let's start off with, they have huge mouths, so they can fit anything in the mouth. Even a small 5-inch bass can fit a whole worm the size of itself in its mouth. So you want to have big hooks, like those big bass hooks. And what I like to use for bass there's multiple things. Jerk baits and crankbaits work very well, especially for in the evening when they feed more on top water. For largemouth bass, I like to use rubber worms. This one is green pumpkin, and I like to use drop shots and shaky heads, or just a regular Texas rig. Also, what works well for bass is swim baits. They like to eat other fish, so swim baits work good. And bass like spinners, big, not trout spinners, but bass spinners. These work very well. This gets them and imitates a fish, a crawfish, whatever. Let's move on to smallmouth. Smallmouth have smaller mouths. So this means you can't be using like huge baits. It's similar, more the same. Now, and unlike largemouth, smallmouth stay more at the bottom, about 30-20 feet down, on rocky drop-offs. That's where they like to stay. So if you have a deep diving crankbait or a deep diving jerkbait, that would work very well. And worms work well, rubber worms, because they can go down and deep into those depths. Also, swim baits work well as well because they imitate little bait fish trying to get away, and they do love those. Now, let's move on to pickerel and pike. Okay, pickerel and pike are very aggressive, strong, awesome fighting fish. I love to catch these, but they have long and narrow mouths, so they cannot fit a rubber worm with a bigger hook like a bass could. So I would not recommend rubber worms. Even though rubber worms work very well, you could use them with a smaller hook, but do not really do like a bigger bass hook. These fish are very aggressive, and they love the shine, movement, and energy of strong moving baits. So baits like crankbaits, baits like jerk baits, crank them and jerk them really hard to get that reaction strike and make it shine the water so they can see them from far distances away. A good bait to use also are bright colored spinners, bass spinners, they have a really nice shine with this, and this imitates bait fish, which they love. They love little fish. Also, a great bait to use is a trout spinner, actually, like a daredevil or just a regular trout spinner. This causes a flash and it has a lot of movement in the water, and they will get triggered for that. Now, this one is mostly for pike, but you can probably catch pickerel as well. A big fly like this imitates a big bait fish, which pike love, and pike are fun to catch on fly rods. You can catch them with fly rods. And that's it for pickerel and pike. Now let's get to catfish. All right, for catfish, these fish, so they like to feed at the bottom. You want to have a very slow imitating action, usually live bait, and great scent works. I don't really have any examples other than worms. Worms work very well for them, especially for the more baby ones, and you want to just have it rest right at the bottom, and they feed off the bottom. So another great bait to use is liver, chicken liver, beef liver, pork liver. Liver works very well for them. Also, corn, peas, dog food, cat food, stuff like that has like a really strong smell, works really well for them. You want to have a really slow, just let it rest at the bottom, because they're not going to go and chase off after that. Now let's move to trout. Alright, last but definitely not least, in fact probably one of my favorite fish to catch, are trout. Trout are very smart, and they are pretty hard to catch. For stock trout, what I like to use is power bait. Power bait is just what they feed them in like the trout stocking factory, so this will they will know what this is, and it has a nice strong scent to it. Worms are also very good. The good old worms and bobber, or just regular worms. I prefer nice big juicy night crawlers. Those are good. Also, spinners, trout spinners. These are nice and shiny to them, and they will attract their attention. They like shiny, kind of like the pickerel. And spoons work good as well. There's different types of spoons. There's this one, and then there's this one. But yeah, that's it for trout. Now let's move on to when and where you want to catch each fish. Alright guys, so let's start off with panfish like we did. We'll just go in the same exact order. For panfish, when and where, so you want to fish in ponds for panfish, really, maybe even some like streams and rivers, but just nice, big open, weedy, near cover ponds, shallow, like only up to 10 to 2 or 3 feet. You want to fish for them. Where up shallow, and when you want to fish during the evening, or like kind of during the middle of the day, not really during the night or anything. But yeah. All right, now for bass. Bass, when and where. Where you want to go up close during the summer, but when the water is colder, they're on those drop-offs, getting up to have bait fish and coming back down to get to the deeper water. That getting up to get bait fish and coming back down to the deeper water is pretty much all year for smallmouth bass, but for largemouth bass, you want to fish up close where there's trees falling, lily pads, and a lot of cover. When you want to fish is during the evening and during the middle of the day. Time doesn't really affect bass, same with the panfish, but time will affect some of the fish coming up. Now for the pickerel and pike. So where you want to fish, for pickerel, up shallow. They probably won't be living in more than 20 feet of water. You want to go really up into 2, even 1 or 3 feet of water, up in those lily pads, and just they'll be up in there in the shallows. For pike, they'll be a little bit deeper, maybe up until 30 feet, but they'll still be that grass down deep. They're going to be in that grass. So yeah, you kind of want to get deep to them. Time, you want to fish for pike, it really doesn't matter, in pickerel again, like really any time of the day. Now moving on to catfish. Catfish are very, very picky. Where you want to fish out deep in 20 to 30 feet of water where there is structure under the water, and they will be just in and out of that coverage looking for food. So that's where. When you want to fish during the nighttime, that is their prime feeding era. So you want to fish during the nighttime when it's like pitch black. They're like almost nocturnal. Now for trout. Trout are very hard to catch. So if you're fishing in a river, you want to cast your bait either in the current, because they're going to be sitting in those pockets behind the rocks, getting out into the current and getting their bait. So you can either cast it right into that pocket where they're going to be, or in the current and hoping they see it when it passes by. For lakes, you want to fish the deepest spot possible. They're going to be down in that cold water. They cannot stand water that's over 60 degrees. Except brown trout, they can go up to like 65. But brook trout and rainbow trout, they can't stand water. So they're going to be down deep wherever the coldest spot possible is, and where the most oxygen is. So you're going to want to just put your bait all the way down there. Now, when you want to fish in the early morning or in the evening, they don't really bite in the day. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if they bite at night. I've never really been trout fishing at night, but yeah, I really don't know about that. Alright guys, I'm sorry I haven't posted in a while, but here you go. I posted something for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give a thumbs up if you think I should do more videos like this. I obviously can't go fishing. You guys saw the weather. So I will try to be putting more videos out. The weather has been very bad. So I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.